Today I'm going to show you how to train the tuck handstand and the seven handstand. Obviously for that we're going to have 3 positions, the straight, the tuck and the seven, or work towards them. I'm going to show progressions both freestanding and against the wall. I'm going to do my normal no fluff version, so it's just going to fire through the exercise as fast as possible. So first of all, let's set up our home positions. Home position for the straight, home position for the tuck, and home position for the straddle. Let's start against the wall. So for the straight position, we can set that up in 2 directions. We can go back to wall, chest to wall, so just focusing on what our straight handstand is. Now that could be a pull away from the wall and see what your freestanding is like, or it could be just back to wall in that position, trying to make the line as efficient as possible. So ideally straight, but obviously if you don't have the flexibility to be dead straight, it's not gonna be dead straight. Just with that, don't try and go into a position that you can't achieve flexibility wise. It's just not gonna happen when you're handstanding. So you first need to work on the flexibility away from the wall and then slowly improve your position in the handstand bit by bit. So then we could go chest to wall, we could hold in that position, we could toe pull off to our freestanding depending on where our level's at, or we could just stay with that back to wall version. Okay, then for the tuck handstand position, first of all, let's look at conditioning and strength in the position. So for that one, I prefer people to go chest to wall, find the position where their hip is at 90 degrees and try and get their shoulders on top of the hands. So if you can do it there and it's pretty comfortable, come back up, move the hands a little bit closer. If you find you go too close too quickly, and your shoulders do this, and they go in front of your hands or in front of your palms, then you need to do the opposite. You need to work back out again. And I recommend you do like 30-second holds in this position, trying to elevate, push back towards the wall as best you can. Now you should feel that in those upper back trap area. We could then practice the same thing, but back to wall. So this is more about balance and just more positioning as opposed to mobility. So butt against the wall, in that position, go as deep as you can, but try and keep the shoulders again on top of the hands. If this is happening, you're going too deep for your range of motion at the moment. You need to work more mobility. So once you've found a position that you're comfortable with butt on the wall, you could practice pushing through the fingers, doing your normal heel pull movement, and practice your freestanding tuck handstand. Exactly the same for the seven handstand. To get a rough idea of where you need to be flexibility wise or distance away from the wall with the hands, just sit in this position, try and get as upright as possible and place the hands down by the hips. So this is roughly where my hands need to be for when I flip over into a handstand position and be there on the wall and try and get the shoulders on top of the hands. Now, as you can hear by my voice, that one's very, very challenging. So you might need to fine tune that quite a bit. For me, to get a 30-second hold, I'm gonna have to take my hands a little bit further away. So that's better for me there. Same setup with the tuck as in the seven position for back to wall. So just see where you can get with the butt on the wall, trying to keep your shoulders on top of the hands. As you can see, this one again is more challenging than the tuck position, just because you have a longer lever arm now. There's more demanding flexibility wise from the hamstrings, and then we have to try and take the butt backwards more and the shoulders away from the wall more. All at the same time, so there's fighting in different directions. In reality, most people are gonna have to move their shoulders a little bit closer to the wall just to find a comfortable position, which means you planche the shoulders just a little bit. If your hamstring flexibility is not great, you're probably gonna have to have a slight bend in the knees as well. So if you're freestanding, you can do exactly the same thing, just check your home positions. So your straight handstand. So do a video, mimic your best handstand in the straight position, in the tuck position, whoop. So tuck position there, and however you feel most comfortable to get into the seven. I recommend you video from the side, check the video, have a look at each element separately. So that's best case scenario, your best straight position, your best tuck, and your best straddle. No, your best seven. Now once we have the home positions down, we can start to look at the transitions between the positions, and there's a few options. Let's first do that with the freestanding, and then we'll go back to the wall. So starting your straight handstand, there, pull down to your tuck. So this is probably the simplest in terms of setup, and then once you're in your tuck, all we're gonna do is extend the knees as best you can. Ideally come back the way you go into it and go back out. Another option would be to start in your straight position, come down to your seven, whoops. So there, and then you could bend your knees to go into your tuck, back out to your seven, and back up to your straight handstand. If you have it, you could enter in from the bottom, so you could go like a press, so you could pike to seven, to tuck to straight, or you could do the same in jump. You could go tuck first. So let's do a jump this time. So I jump to tuck there. I could then go either to 7 or straight, whoops, and then back or to straight. Now this is really great timing, because when you don't get a good rep, you get Rosie to get in the way. So if you're not freestanding yet and you need the wall assist, I'd probably recommend that you go between straight and tuck first, then straight and 7, back to straight again like this, before adding in the third movement. So straight position, heels on the wall. Ideally, heels would come off as you pull down, butt would touch in tuck, and then back, heels touch at the top, butt touches at the bottom, as opposed to butt touches hair and then pull down. That just gets a little bit messy. And then do exactly the same with your 7. So starting your straight with the heels touch in, pull down to your 7, or as close as you can get, butt touch in, pull back to your straight, heels touching. Once you've done that, you can combine them. So in your straight position, pull down to your tuck, butt touches, go to your 7, pull back to your tuck, back up, heels touch in the straight. You could do the opposite, go to your 7 position first, there, and then to your tuck, and then back to your straight. So that's the different transitions that I would play with for most people. Obviously, if you're working against the wall, the goal needs to really be to get freestanding as quick as possible. So get the individual positions conditioned so you can hold 20, 30 seconds in your straight, 20 to 30 seconds in your tuck, 20 to 30 seconds in your 7, and then put them all together freestanding. You gotta remember that the 7 handstand is probably the most difficult position you can do in 2 arms, both flexibility and control wise, and especially when you're opening back to straight. You'll get someone that's very flexible and they can hold a great 7 position or a great tuck, but opening back and forth to straight is really challenging. So my recommendation would be to run through all of these elements, both against the wall and freestanding. Practice your different positions, both holding and doing transitions between them for repetitions and for sequences. And just see where your gaps are and start to fill them. Let me know if you have any questions, and me and Rosie will speak to you next time. Thanks, guys.